Okay, thank you everyone. And like Sandeep said, we have started recording. Since you all are still here, we will assume that is all fine with you all, right? So, with that said, welcome to our today's session. Few quick guidelines because once we start the sessions, it's gonna be a you won't want me or Sandeep coming back in there, right? It's gonna be a super cool session. So I'll just set a few guidelines. We have a chat on the right side of your window, so feel free to drop your questions, comments, anything that you want in there. Questions, we are going to open a dedicated tab there, Q&A. If you look at on the right hand side, there is a Q&A tab. You can drop in your questions there. I believe Vincent will have some cool Menti magic there, so he will give you the instructions once he's there. But any general questions on the comments, use the tabs on the right hand side, right? We will try to answer as many questions as we can, not like me, but Vincent and Nicole, depending on where they can take those questions. But if not, at towards the end of the questions, we will try to answer all those remaining questions there, right? The recording of this session will be available. Usually it comes out less than 24 hours. You can head back to the same meetup page, or you can go to the virtual YouTube channel. You should find this recording there, right? The most important part from the community perspective, or we as a host perspective, is at the end of these sessions you should receive an feedback email. We would definitely appreciate a lot if you could tell us how you felt about it, what went good, what was wrong, what else you want to see about it. So take few minutes and submit those surveys. That definitely helps us to create more content and host more events like this. Okay, so the guidelines are in there. And those who are wondering about the interactions, it's going to be on the chat. So only hosts and the presenters have access to the audio and video part of it. So that should be okay. We will see how it goes. With that, this is our today's session, DataWeave Practices, an innovative session by the one and only Vincent Lowe. We have Nicole also here. I will let them introduce themselves. So, Nicole, Vincent, Sandeep, please go ahead.
You should go first, right, Nicole?
Sure, I will
Tell us
go
just
ahead and
right.
go first. See, hi everyone, Nicole Isaacson here, and I work on marketing for our MuleSoft training and certification. So, whereas Vincent is really going to be the star of the show, I'll be popping in from time to time to share some updates on our training courses and a little bit more information on how to get certified or pursue additional certifications if you already have one. And I will pass it off, Vincent, to you.
Yeah, you're going to give something away today, maybe, aren't you?
That's true. We have
All
some
right.
MuleSoft instructor-led seats in courses to give away.
Nice.
So definitely pay attention because we'll have
Stay
some
awake.
prizes.
Stay awake. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Vincent Lowe. I know a lot of you have met me, or many of you may have met me before by taking classes, particularly DataWeave. If you are one of those, shout it out in chat. Say hi. I'm really pleased that you got work. I didn't think you would after you wasted all that time hanging out with me, but I'm glad to see you back. And we're going to talk about DataWeave. In fact, we're going to actually ask you for all your feedback during the session. This is a feedback session, really. So I'll tell you real quick. I'm a senior technical instructor for MuleSoft, and I have been teaching and developing and teaching developers for about 20 years. And I've been with MuleSoft for a little while now, and I've come to really have an affinity for DataWeave. So I wanted this opportunity to talk with you guys and find out what's it like for you. Like a lot of you come to my class, and now you're here again. So I want to learn what is it like for you after you leave the class. Also, we want to talk about developer practices in general. So we'll get right on to that, but I want to be sure, was there any other housekeeping or anything else we're going to do before we step into this?
Yeah, Sandeep,
Yes.
do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm part of the customer success strategy and architecture team here at MuleSoft. Been with MuleSoft for the past 4 years, and I organize online virtual meetup events here with Manik in North America. I've been with the community for over 4 years now. Before MuleSoft, I was a MuleSoft customer, so love working with the community and happy to be here today. Thank you. Thanks, Manik.
Okay, and lastly, myself, Manik Magar. I'm an architect at Avio Consulting, working with the community for I think 7 years now. It's been a long time, and organizing these events with Sandeep for the Amir region. Those who are joining for the first time on this group, we do have EPIC and EMEA regions, which are handled by Royston and Angel, our counterparts on those regions. So keep checking on the online meetup group. You will find more events. With that, I know you are not here to listen to me all the talking. Vincent, I'm going to stop my screen share and then you can take it all away from here. I'll probably stop my video too, so not to distract everyone with looking at my face. See?
It's a nice face, Manik.
Thank you. Okay, so Vincent, you should see the share button, shared screen enabled now since I stopped it.
Let's bring this up. Okay,
cool. Yes.
So today's session, I don't know what you were expecting or what you heard about this, but in today's session, our primary goal is to listen to you, which is highly ironic since you don't have a microphone, but it's really important to us to understand what is it like for the world of DataWeave developers and really for Mule developers in general. So we're going to go through a series of discussions today, and we'll talk about the practices that developers have in general and some of your preferences, some of your likes and dislikes. And then we'll talk about specifically about some DataWeave ideas, and we'll talk about the tooling that you use to get your job done. And at the end, what we'll have is the presentation that this leaves us with will be partly authored by you. So if you look at my screen, do you see at the top that it has a link? It says menti.com. That's the only part you really need. Nobody says www anymore. We should tell them. Anyway, go to menti.com. And when you get there, put in this code. It's one of the most, it gives you kind of pleasant results. You can do it in the browser. Pick up a tablet. I love you guys too. All right, if you're there, I see a bunch of you getting, well, you know, there's a lot more people than that in there. So we'll get you hooked up. This first question's easy. And if you're still working to get hooked in right now, you'll be able to drop right in on this next question. As soon as I focus my cursor. So tell us where you are. Tell us where you're from there. And then submit. On your phone, I have to tell you that on your phone, the control is going to be a little approximate, but let's see what the spread looks like. Got some East Coast. Somebody's in Antigua or whatever that is in the middle of the ocean. You should put in chat what that is, because I'm quite curious. I think a number of people are. While we're doing this, by the way, you guys, I can't see the chat, so I'm counting on my teammates to let me know if there are any questions. But we have time for that. We have a Q&A segment at the end. Okay, rocking, you guys. Thanks for bidding in here. So I got about 60 of you with results. Oklahoma City's going strong, the way it looks to me. All right, now. The next question we'll talk about is this. Come on, question. Okay. So we're gonna talk about programming languages in general. So I'm gonna ask you about specific languages, and you know, we're not really looking to see, oh, is this a good language or bad, but what's your experience of it? What is it like to program in that language? Even if it's great but it's unpleasant to work with, you can say that, right? So now I know not all of your, not all the languages you might love are listed here, but say how much you like each of these. I'm going to give you a few moments to get this set up, and then I'll turn the results on. You'll see. Who's disappointed that COBOL's not on the list? Tell us in chat. All right, let's see some results start to pop in. Whoa, that's a pretty good cross section of our participants I've seen so far. Java's going strong too. And poor Scala. I'm a little bit pleased by seeing this. You know, I got to tell you, one of the things I'm accustomed to is near the beginning of our courses, we teach developer fundamentals. We'll ask people about their experience with Java, and in the US, I get about 65% of the people I meet say, "Yeah, they made me use Java in college, and fortunately, I haven't had to touch it since then." So I'm really pleased to see in this group that Java gets a little bit better affinity. Right. So look, you guys, I'm asking you these things because the relationship we have to our programming languages drives how we can adopt a new one, right? And when you attack DataWeave, you can draw from your knowledge of many of these languages, like the operators from C and C# and Python and Perl and Ruby. Those operators we use. So by me understanding better like where your programming expertise comes from, it's easier to frame the conversation that we want to have about the language. All right, now Freeform. So I'm going to let you say the languages that you love or hate, and you type them in. So you might try something like you see in the example. If you love PL SQL, show it to us, okay? Be nice. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is going to make a word cloud. So for one thing, watch for typos before you submit. So typo check, then you'll really have what you want in the cloud. And after a few moments, I'm going to turn the results on, and you'll see that what other people have put in. You might want to vote for some other people's entries too. So let's make a word. What's a language that you love or that you don't love? Let's see what we're getting to. Thank you, DataWeave Love. Regex Hate. Oh, come on, infidel. I thought VB Hate would be a little stronger here. Wow. Come on, TypeScript lovers, get in there. All right, I'm going to close the voting about now. Give you about 30 seconds. Oh, here, we'll do it like that. I am so tickled by this. All right. Let's get a little deeper in the conversation. Okay, I'm going to close it down. Nice picture, you guys. Oh yeah, sorry, C++ people. I discovered the platform doesn't let you do anything except dashes in this particular part. But I love it. And I'm real pleased. DataWeave came in pretty strong there. I guess that's why you guys came, right? You like DataWeave as well. All right, now here's the new question. Why on earth do you do this? Tell us why you code. And I'm going to just get the answers coming in on this right away because yeah, they pay me. Well, that's actually a pretty lucky thing, you know. I know a lot of people they don't. They used to call themselves embedded systems programmers. Remember that? Oh, come on. And by the way, for anybody who said it's deterministic, I don't know if you if you've been told it's not. The being in control, but I think it might fall in the same category. Yeah, let's just give a minute to see what else emerges. At the end of this, when I export this slide deck, your participation will be a part of the slides. Also, I think if you have finished submitting your question, you can use the next question control, and that'll actually, I don't know what it'll do. I was thinking it might tell me, okay, everybody answered already. It is literally making something out of nothing, isn't it? Your brain. Yeah, and you lifelong learners, you do that because we have to, right? Yes, but what do you do if they pay you, but you're not building something useful? You take the money anyway? Yes. You know, I don't think we can demand the system do what we want all the time. But when the system actually does, it might not be because of our demand. All right. Thank you all for participating now. And look right here, this one that just came onto my screen, avoid repetitive tasks. That's where MuleSoft came from, right? Our co-founder was sitting there saying, I am so tired of doing this donkey work, and I'm going to write something to do it for me. And eventually that became what you guys now know as MuleSoft, right? All right, let's talk a little bit more about go ahead and rank these methods for learning a language. Which ones of these, you get 100 points here. Oh, no, it's just how much do you like it, okay? As a way to get the job done. How do you learn when you want to learn a new language? And I'm going to put the results up right away. Let people say where they think the action is. Yeah, help me out here. I'm a little surprised that documentation is doing so high, because it's my opinion, based on observation of my own self and also a lot of other developers I've met, that we use documentation as kind of a last resort. But I'm really glad to see that some of us have read it at least. We have pretty good documentation at MuleSoft. I'm quite proud of it, and especially the DataWeave documentation. All right, I think that's about our responding population. Give it 1 second. Okay, we'll close that for now. Well, maybe we will. Come on. All right, good. All right, now I want you to think about the best training experience you've had in any realm, not just in coding, but what made the best training experience that you've ever had? What was a characteristic of that? And again, I'll let the results come up as you guys put them in, except not by closing the voting. I won't. Okay, somebody from Doc Pubs is here at the meetup, apparently. Yeah. Nice. There's a shout out to AWS training. Thank you very much. Good. Yes, I like this one. Give a project and throw it in the deep end. I guarantee you will learn. There might be trauma. Yeah, you know, it is true. Sometimes this is what we remember, the times when it didn't work out so well. Yeah, look, you don't know how to do it, but the clock is ticking, right? Cool. Very nice. Okay, I'll leave just a minute on the clock for this. Wait, what happened to my minute on the clock? There it is. We'll get a little bit more sentiment from you. I really appreciate all the kudos to MuleSoft training. I'm proud of it for obvious reasons. I like doing it, and people keep coming, so it seems like it works. But there are a lot of great trainings and training systems available, and it pleases me a lot that you guys are finding it useful. Give it just a little bit more. MongoDB, that's good to hear. All right, we've just a second or two left. You see, I need to hear these things from you guys because I learn in a particular way. I tend to favor that. I tend to try to teach to that way of training, right? Which is a lot about hands-on in my case, and you know, having a goal to seek out. But all of us learn in different ways. And if any of us gets locked into training or creating training just to the model that works for us personally, we have it's not a one size fit all kind of outcome at all. So I very much appreciate your thoughts here. Okay, this is Freeform. What would be the best way if you could invent a way for you to learn a new programming language? What would that be like? So I'm just going to straight up put like 6 minutes on the clock here right now. I think I am. It doesn't really work that way. Put 5 minutes on the clock, and I'll add a minute before we finish. I think you guys are putting all the things that are on the next slide. Very nice. I like this one, by the way. This up here, I got to tell you something. This is something I know in my bones from how long I've been doing this work. And it's that if you want to learn something, teach it. You know, if you want to learn something, teach it to someone. Their perspective will change what you think about what you're teaching. Ask Alexa. There you go. I was kind of hoping that was going to work out eventually. And you know what, by the way, I don't understand this. I don't understand why that assistant from the people with the O's in their name or Alexa didn't start with a command to have them learn new commands, right? Like I spent a long time trying to train that particular personal assistant that I don't want to say the name of because she'll wake up right now to learn new commands. They don't do it. Dummy project. That sounds like my band when I was in high school. Yeah, you know what? This is a good point. Sometimes the tooling itself will just pull you forward into understanding what you need to do, right? And this is one of the things I'm pretty proud of about Anypoint Studio as well, because it does have a lot of nuance that pulls you forward. By the way, for any of you who have not yet become developer, MuleSoft certified developer, what I hear from many of my colleagues and from a lot of my past students is that these DIY exercises in the self-paced course, these are magic in getting prepared for the certification. So put them out there. Okay. All right. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and have us. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one down. I have one more question to ask you. Oh no, I don't either. That was the one more question. All right. So now it's time for a giveaway break. Now, as we were going through the presentation, there was a giveaway code on one of the slides. So here's how it works. Your job is to go to the chat stream and you're going to say something nice to Nicole, and you're going to include the code. And the first person who says something nice, we will make judgments about the niceness of what you put in. But go to that chat stream and put in the code. Holy cow, can you guys even read that fast? I don't know what to do here. Monica, Sandeep, can you guys see lots of problem solvers?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select, and I'm so sorry about the pronunciation, Jack Roblowski. So I will DM you in the chat and send you the form to fill out to receive your free course. Oh, I love some of these. Oh man, I might just pick from these for the other two.
You came for validation, Nicole.
Yeah, and it's working.
I think it's you. You had some stuff to share with us, right?
Yes. Let me go ahead and share. So quick, just be a couple minutes and then we will jump back in. But just wanted to share 3 training updates that I thought would be relevant to you all. I know that this audience does skew more towards the advanced MuleSoft developer. So just wanted to make sure that you were all aware that earlier this year, we released our first level 2 developer certification. So be relevant for anyone who has a valid MuleSoft certified developer level 1. That is a prerequisite. And if you go and check out the exam details page, which I have linked here, you can kind of see the full breadth of everything that it covers. We do have 2 instructor-led courses that support and will help you all prepare for this course. And they are on the option list for our 3 winners today. So if you have that level 1 cert, you're looking to level up to level 2, definitely be sure to check that out. Next piece, because I saw we had some feedback around automation and low code, no code. And so also wanted you all to be aware that we have started, oh, my slide is all funky. We have started building out MuleSoft learning content, self-paced on Trailhead. So this is all free, and we do have a full trail mix on MuleSoft RPA, as well as on MuleSoft Composer for Salesforce. So I'll put those links in the chat, but be sure to check that out if you're looking to earn points, Road to Ranger on Trailhead, and we're continuing to release content on that platform as well. And then last but not least, since I saw a lot of MuleSoft certified folks in the audience, Know that at the end of November, currently targeting November 29th, we are going to release the option for you all to display your MuleSoft certifications on your trailblazer.me profile. So if you don't have a trailblazer.me profile, this is a super good time to register and create one. A lot of cool functionality here. We have a Muley tag you can add for your community tags. We have 3 different MuleSoft communities on Trailblazer community groups. You can show off your points, your badges, and then starting at the end of the month, you'll also be able to connect in and show off your MuleSoft certifications alongside any Salesforce or Slack certifications that you have. So be sure to check that out. With that, I will turn it back over to Vincent.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I did see one certification question come along, Nicole, in chat. If you want to.
Yeah, the extending of the certifications event, I do think that is going to be a one-time event. That was a pilot that the team ran that was specific to certain partner organizations, and I don't think we're going to continue with it.
Okay. Excellent.
If that's the one I'm thinking of, there have been a
All
couple ones. So
All right. Well,
feel free
we
to
have
DM me.
we'll have some time as we go to. Yes. All right. Excellent. All right. Now, we talked about developer practices and our sentiment about the languages and and our approach. Now, I want to talk about tooling. So once again, we're going to get your sentiment, and let's start by talking about the tools we like. You can choose one or more of these. You can choose them, just choose them in the order you like, right? Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I have to open the voting and then you can submit your answer.
Yeah, I think you have to go ahead and screen share again, Vincent.
Oh, am I not sharing this?
You are not.
Oh,
I think
okay.
because I popped over and screen shared, so.
Hold on a sec. Oh, you know what? I didn't activate it. I just screen and then there we go. And now I'll unhide the results. Also, now you can submit. My sense is that's gonna kind of hover around that now. I'm a little surprised to see Eclipse outpace IntelliJ in popular sentiment. I hear a lot of love for IntelliJ, but on the other hand, you have to need it for your job, right? I love AnyPoint Studios at the top. I'll tell you why. I mean, not because they pay me to like it. It's because I've worked with a lot of IDEs over time, and just from a pure perspective of polish in your developer tool, you could argue all day about which of these does a better job at that. But the number of times that my job gets done more quickly because of the integration with Exchange, because IntelliSense and DataSense, it's just miraculous to me sometimes. And this is one of the reasons I love doing my job, because people come to me and I get to show it off for them. I'm pleased that you guys like it that way too. We're going to talk a little bit more about VS Code later in this conversation, because we're going to talk about how that's becoming a part of our world as well. All right, so now let's talk about another issue here. As soon as I find a mouse cursor. All right. So now tell me about writing code itself, right? I'm sorry, what about how your job plays out? How much time do you spend writing code? How much time do you spend debugging code, and so on? Interesting. Interesting. I'm glad to hear there's somebody that analyzes and defends their code with their team. My very first run as a team lead developer, we were like 4 months in, and my boss found out we had no code reviews ever. Yeah, that was an interesting conversation to have. A little bit more of this. Get you guys in there. I'll leave about 1 minute to give us a chance to wrap that up. Yeah, actually, kind of looks to me like we might have that one how we want it. Then let's do this. Okay. Now, when you think about the time you spend doing MuleSoft development, okay, just Mule development, how much of that turns out to be DataWeave for you? Okay, so this is a pretty easy one to work out. And we'll just let the results come in right away. That's interesting to find. I wasn't sure what, like, were people being deployed as DataWeave gurus and mostly doing that, or was it part of the whole equation? Was it only when you were forced to? You guys in the under 30% range, maybe? I'll say this one thing. I'll make this as a confession, right? If I come upon some DataWeave code and nothing's pulling me away, then I will sit there and consider, how could that be better? How could that be a little tighter? So it's just, for me, that a lot of you said puzzle solving, right? And problem solving and why you code. Well, that's the thing that draws me to DataWeave as well. There's just so much opportunity. What's amazing is that when you're finished and you look at the code you wrote, and you will say, who wrote that? Who can read that? So it is up to you to be sure that it's understandable later so that someone can maintain it. But it gives you a lot of fun. Okay, how do you find, like, how do you learn DataWeave? How did you learn DataWeave? Pick all of them that are appropriate for you. And again, I'm going to just go ahead and let the picture start assembling right away. Whoa. Okay, that was super fun. Wow. Wow. I want to go back and start to slide over. What do we see? Playground tutorial is looking head and shoulders ahead of everybody else. And goodness, my DataWeave class is like a last place. More you guys need to come to the class. Not just mine, of course. That this class is taught everywhere. You get max if you go to Europe, or you get I don't know. You have great people to teach that class in every geo, so be sure you come and see it. We'll teach you some cool things. The biggest thing about the DataWeave class is that we're not just talking about how do you use the language, what's the syntax of the language. The playground tutorial does that. In the DataWeave class, we're really talking about how do you do a good job of this? How do you write well-formed code? And most importantly, how do you take a tack through your development process so that you can work step by step, confirming your results each time and testing it as you go? And we also talk about robust programming. How do you write code that is sort of armored against some of the indignities that it will face in the harsh world? Bad data, bad network connections. So we talk about those in that class too. So I hope I'll see some of you guys in there. Now this is open. Okay, say it's just open air. Tell us ways that you found to learn DataWeave. You can mention the things from the last page, but also if you found anything that surprised you, any unusual sources. Tell us. Yeah, that's me too. I kind of want to go back to the last page for a minute and see how many votes they got for Hack and Google. I didn't notice that. It was still higher than the DataWeave class, though. There you go. Yes, blogs. You know what? Last week, I discovered a blog article I wrote. I didn't know it was even published. I was just doing some searching. I was like, what is this art? No wonder that article. I thought it disappeared. It actually came out. Partner blogs, community, deadlines. Yeah, for sure. I know our training team has one of these, a MuleSoft DataWeave Slack channel. I'm curious if someone in another company has one, if your company has a Slack channel dedicated to it. I'd love to hear that. Playground always gets a lot of high mark. It's a wonderful thing. And yes, I'm a big fan as well of practicing. I make up things to write in DataWeave, even though why on earth would you do that? Why do you need to calculate primes in your DataWeave expression? But okay. All right, I'm gonna leave one more minute for feedback in this realm. Yeah, and somebody makes an interesting point. DataWeave Playground has some differences from how it works in Studio, from how things work in Studio. I'm going to talk more about that down the stretch of this session here. Back in the day. In the debug console window, yep. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that link. Of course. All right. Thanks very much for your thoughts on that. Okay, now it's time for another giveaway. So I'm going to give you guys another round with Nicole. Now, there was another code. Don't put it in chat yet. Okay, well, you already did. But now here's the thing. It's caller number 7, starting from Jacob. So just keep putting it in there until, I should have said caller number 30, right, Nicole?
Okay, I am going to go ahead and select Ivan Smanov. I will go ahead and DM you. But that's what I'm going to choose as our second winner.
Congratulations.
Okay, I'll go ahead and throw it back over to you, Vincent.
Oh, I thought you had another slide thing for us.
Yes, we can do that now. I feel like I am the commercial break here.
Sorry.
No, all good.
Sponsor
Just
break.
very quick. Yes, sponsor break. Great. Just wanted to let you all know. I know I pitched our level 2 developer certification during the last break, and wanted to let you all know that now through the end of January, we're doing free instructor exam prep sessions at various times to accommodate various time zones. But we're trying to help as many of you who want to start off your 2023 with a new certification. And we know that there's a little bit of lead time on that. So starting now, I will go ahead and paste the link in the chat here as well. But go ahead and check them out. I'm going to be honest, I threw up just the plain text landing page because I wanted to make sure you all had access to this. But give it a bookmark, keep coming back. We'll have a fully designed web page with all these events listed here. And be sure to join some of our instructors to just review the material for any of our 5 MuleSoft certification exams. And now I will actually
Nicole,
turn
I
it
have
back.
A question about that.
Yeah.
So I know that we regularly host office hour sessions. One of us will come and work with people who are getting ready to take the certification exam, but I don't really know how people sign up for that. Is that?
Yeah, we have, let's see, you're talking about the course office hour sessions or the certification?
Yeah, well, we do it's like an MCD preparation session. We take a couple of hours and answer questions.
Yeah, so I will be throwing those up on the landing page soon. Typically, we do only email invites for those for people who have registered for the self-paced development fundamentals course. And that's because we have capacity limits. So we don't necessarily open it to the public, but we are trying to do some increases and platform updates to allow us to invite more people to those sessions.
Great. Excellent.
So I would say bookmark the web page that I'll put in the chat now, and we're trying to get as much on there as possible.
Rockin'. Wait, did it work? Am I sharing? Okay, good. All right, let's gather a little more sentiment, shall we? So we've talked about languages and our habits as developers, and we've talked a little bit about some of the tooling. Now I want to go in and talk about specific tooling that we use for DataWeave. Okay, so I'm gonna put the results for you, so you guys can put hearts all over this as much as you like to. A lot of you seem to like this, and I do, and I will go put a heart if I wasn't busy presenting. So the thing that I can say that I appreciate most about DataWeave in Studio is this section you see on the right, the preview panel. Because when I have an idea in DataWeave, I can, within a few seconds, presuming Studio is running, of course. Startup time is a coffee break, I know. But then within a few seconds, I can begin testing my idea and see the results immediately. I don't have to deploy anything or all the rest. Now, that's exactly the same that you can do in DataWeave Playground. And we'll talk about those variances in a little bit. But here's what I say to my team and to people that ask me about it. In the end, as a MuleSoft developer, you're going to have to put your DataWeave into the context of a Mule application. Okay, until the end of this presentation anyway, that's the rule. And so if you have to build it and then transplant it, you now have to test it again to make sure it works in the new environment. So unless there's a strong reason for me to, I would probably prefer working in this surface. The thing that's the stumbling block, and this is what I emphasize with anybody that comes to any of the classes I teach. If you simply understand the magnitude of the job that's being done here in this preview panel, okay? In this preview panel, whatever your expression causes as an outcome is updated here every 500 milliseconds, okay? Twice per second, this window is being redrawn for you to show you the effect of the code you're writing. So if you understand that's the case, you can treat it with respect and you'll actually get really great performance out of it. So when people tell me they don't like using Anypoint Studio for writing their code, a lot of times I find out you just got to hold the tool a different way. Okay, and yes, it's Eclipse and it has its quirks, but let's talk about Studio. Okay, I want you to tell me about your experience of working with Studio, in particular in the context of writing DataWeave. Okay, so here's your question. In fact, yeah. Let's make sure that voting is turned on. And I'll bring results up now. They can assemble for us as they go. Oh, okay. I was a little puzzled. I'm like, why is there nothing out of the 30 people? Oh yeah, and this is not ranking or anything. They're just your perceptions about each of these. Cool. This is good to know. It's good to know. I'm going to go ahead and leave a minute on the clock for voting on this. But this is kind of interesting to me because what I'm seeing is that we're not finding as much traction for hosting assets in Exchange while we're working with DataWeave. And to be fair, you're just seeing the emergence of that as being a really, how can I put it, agile facility, right? He's the little a on that, if you don't mind. So this is a part of what we'll talk about at the very end of this, how the new plugin will allow you to take advantage of Anypoint Exchange and to reuse your DataWeave code. All right, so we get a few more seconds here. I think the what I would say relatively low adoption of the DataWeave preview panel points to a lot of opportunity, because I swear to you, it changes the experience of writing DataWeave when you can write it in an interactive way. And of course, in the playground, that's exactly what you see. That's one of the big charms of the DataWeave playground. But you can do the same thing in Studio. All right, let's talk here. So this one, you can just use Freeform. So just what features help you write your DataWeave? Yeah, I like the color coding as well. Sometimes doesn't work for everybody, but even the syntax coloring will often change the typeface a little bit so that the thickness of the characters can help clue you about things that are going on. But preview and data sense, yep, and this practice. We didn't put that in the box. You have to supply that yourself. Yeah, I love the ability to take advantage of a simple metadata model that you build out of a sample. Excellent, excellent. All right. All right, I have one more question now, or I have more questions for you. We want to talk about the DataWeave Playground and your experience of using that. So for any of you who have not seen this, this is simply a destination that allows you to do what I just said: quickly evaluate and observe the outcome of some DataWeave in pretty much real time. It's obscured on my screen right now by the Mentimeter code, but recently to the playground, these import and export controls have been added. For me, that solved one of my remaining quibbles with the DataWeave playground. You can now export your experiment and you can load it into the VS Code plugin if you wish, or simply break it open. It makes a zip file for you and bring your code into a project. So now it becomes a little easier to transform back and forth. All right, so here's a question for you about this one. I'll go ahead and bring the answer, let the answers come up right away. I should have one more question. If you knew the import and export controls had been added in, would you use them? The DataWeave Playground, when you work with it, will respond, like when it renders your expression, it responds in one way. It's a nuance really. That doesn't happen in Studio, and that's that if your expression is broken, if it's partial, it's under construction or something, then the DataWeave Playground will simply not render anything. It'll show you an error message. In Studio, what you need to do is simply test that the preview panel is still being updated. And the simple way is to alter something in your expression and change the name and make sure that when you see it rendered, that the change propagated to the preview panel. If you do that, it's pretty much the same behavior. Okay, it's strong marks on using DataWeave Playground a lot. So what I would like to learn from you guys, and I haven't accounted for it in this presentation, but I'd like to learn what your workflow practices are to move your code and also your samples back and forth from your project to the playground. So at the end, if you want to send, I'll put up the email contact, and if you want to send some ideas about that, I'm happy to hear them. But I have some more things I want to ask you. Okay, so go ahead and tell me, what is your favorite thing about the DataWeave Playground? I'll just go ahead and let people get those up right away. Of course. It does have good response time. I like that. Yes. It works the same on well, as long as we don't call browsers our platform, because then some variants may occur in the darker parts of the browser world. Yeah, like integrated documentation. Very nicely done. And look at this one. Okay. The idea that you can go in and write a transformation. It doesn't even have to be in a Mule project, right? Now, I don't know if you know this, but if you love DataWeave or you find that it's useful to you, you can even use DataWeave from your command line on your system. Right? You can find a GitHub repo that will allow you to download a bundle, you install it to your system, and then you can write DataWeave into your shell scripts and your CI/CD pipeline, and you can just use it right from the command line the way you might have used awk or grep in the old days. but with a lot more power. So yeah, it's kind of like we're really giving DataWeave away. We want you to use it. And if it serves you, that makes us happy. And if it helps you write Mule applications, that's the best, right? Okay, I don't think this is wrong, actually. I tend to mildly prefer Studio, but I wanted to find out how you guys felt about it, and it looks like a lot of you are making good use of it. So that makes me happy. All right, so let's talk about this guy. A lot of you are excited about this, the VS Code plugin. Light up hearts if you've used it, or if you've read about it, or if you've seen it. A lot of you are waiting for stuff you could do in VS Code because you like it a lot. Yeah, now see, it's the love's starting to come. So here's the deal with this. VS Code plugin, you'll find a very nice blog article, I think with a YouTube video embedded, that will take you right through the steps, how to get going with this. You download the plugin, put it in VS Code, you can start writing. And here's what's cool about it, besides that it's fun to work with VS Code, is this plugin has the ability for you to synchronize your libraries with Exchange. So it has an anypoint Exchange integration, and you can develop code for your DataWeave modules, we call them, effectively your library of reusable code, and you can put it into Exchange and keep it maintained there and everything else. So this is the future. We really intend that you be able to write code in DataWeave that you'll continue to use over and over, right? And DataWeave lends itself to that. So one of the things that we have as a strong objective in the DataWeave course is to lead you toward generalizing your functions so they can become ever useful, right? And on the first day of that class, that's our crowning achievement. We write some functions that we think are generally useful. We use that module library interchangeable. I know I'm the canonical term is module, DataWeave module, and we use it through the rest of the class. And that's really what you want to be able to do. So yeah, this is a tool that gets us closer to achieving that.
Let's see, Vincent, if you don't mind me interrupting, we do have a question that came in that says, what are the best resources to learn VS Code? If you have any input on that.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, while everybody's answering this next question, I will see if I can find my link to the setup tutorial. It's a blog article that we've published recently. Okay. As far as learning of VS Code, I don't know what to say about that. It's just it's an IDE. You fire it up, and then you start working with it. But I'll give you a link that'll show you how to get started with this plugin. And thanks, by the way, Nicole. Please feel free to interrupt me if you hear that someone has. Okay, shall we put these in? Okay.
Let's see, I don't know if you're open to taking another question, but we did have one around, does the DataWeave CLI have limits on the size and amount of data it can handle?
I don't know. I can speculate about that, and I don't know, actually. I have not tested it at like high scale. I use it for a tool or a toy mostly. So yeah, your mileage may vary. And here, at the risk of the never-ending Arbor Mirror. All right, I'll leave a minute on this one. Heard about it, tried it. actually actually shared modules through Exchange. Good for you, by the way, in the 1.6% there. Good for you for taking it the whole way. In the chat stream now, there's a link that will take you to a tutorial, and you can learn about how to grab it and plug it in and put it in. One thing I'll tell you, with VS Code, you're at least at this point, the plugin is beta, and at this point, you will have to be responsible for your Java installation where you're using VS Code. We stopped making Anypoint Studio users be responsible for that. I was bundling it in, right? And it cut down a lot of getting started problems for people. With this one, VS Code's going to expect to find a JVM somewhere and or a JRE somewhere, really, and you have to provide it. So it's not auto magical yet. All right. So some of you have used it. A few of us have used this. So if you will, tell me what you like about it. And even if you haven't used it, tell me what you think you're going to like about it. You may have an opinion about that too. Yeah, I didn't even mention the debugging, did I? I forgot to talk about the dessert. Yeah, so debugging DataWeave code. Yeah, that's a big win. Here's what I teach people using Anypoint Studio to write their code, or even you can in Playground, is that as you begin to understand DataWeave, you start to realize that the magic is in the functions. And so as you build a complex transformation, the best thing in the world you can do is build each step individually so you can refer back to it, so you can test it. And when you get something that's working right, you can often elevate that to be a function or a variable. Get it out of the way of your main transformation, and you make it maintainable. And you can also then do a little bit of testing. But yeah, actual debugging directly, big win. Okay. I'm going to leave one more minute on the clock here. Yeah, I like this too. You guys be able to see your code and your XML at the same time, split screen. Definitely take a look at that and see if it suits your needs.
And Vincent, I don't know if you have any opinion on this, but we had a question come in. Since DataWeave is open source now, does it mean we can use it in all sorts of projects like Java, C, Python?
Well, I can tell you what I've heard. Okay, I was curious about that too, and right away I said, we're open sourcing it. So I went and I looked at the license, and what I understood is you're free to use it. What I understand technologically about it is that the bundle that people can get that they use to run DataWeave on their system allows you also to link the binary into your own project. So in theory, you could write your own native project that you write to use for your company. You can fold DataWeave into it. I've not done that, and I haven't read through and it seems to me that works. So I'm just telling you what I heard. But I guess that's what I heard was the open source thing too. And I didn't completely understand the license. It's a MuleSoft license. It's not one of the standard ones, but my understanding when I read it was, yes, it just says you can use this and you don't have to ask or get a bill. Check for yourself though. All right, listen, you guys, I so much appreciate you being here. First of all, I'm just thrilled that so many of you came and that so many of you wanted to learn more about DataWeave and hear about it. And because of the content, because of the contributions you've made in this conversation today, our team will be better equipped to write the next DataWeave course and also just understand what we do when we deliver the courses that will help you have what you need. Okay. So stay in touch. Come to see me if you can when the next class comes up. And we're not done here at all. There's Q&A. You guys can bring us in some questions. And Nicole, we have one more thing to give away, don't we?
We do. We have, actually, because Ivan did not respond to my DM in the chat, I'll go ahead and give 2 more course seats away. Perfect. And I'm actually going to go, yes, Siva V and, oh my gosh, my pronunciation's so bad, Darko Burchevsky. I will go ahead and DM both of you now on the platform, and make sure you send me your email so I can give you the information to redeem your free seat in any instructor-led course of your choice. And I know that we've had quite a few questions coming in, so I think I've gone rogue and peppered a couple of them in already. But if any of our other hosts want to pull up some questions, we've had a couple things come in.
Yeah, Vincent, there is one question. I think you kind of answered it. Since DataWeave is open source, can we use it in all sorts of projects like Java, C#, Python? Is that the correct understanding?
All I can say is this: you can link a DataWeave library into your own native binary. This is what I've been told. I've not actually explored that personally. And second, as far as the licensing goes, my understanding is you're free to use it. But I would read the license yourself. That's the best thing you can do, and then say, does this match what we intend? But yeah, we're not hoarding DataWeave back anymore just for enterprise customers. We want you guys to use this, and if you love it and use it, then that makes us happy.
The other, if I may add a few things in there, since it's now open source, there are not like yet there, but it will be there. But there are different tools around it, like CLI, the Java dependency that you can use it in here, which opens up, if it is a Maven-based thing or the Gradle-based project that you're working on, you can pull that dependency and add it in your project. You can do that. If not, you can treat DataWeave CLI as maybe your JQ replacement, and in your Python scripts, instead of using JQ or similar tools to parse the files and extract the data, you can take a look at using the DataWeave CLI. So I think there are different combinations, and the combinations to use the DataWeave tools now, but we will see more as it becomes more and more open source and see really what are the other modes we are getting access to.
Perfect.
So are there any more questions we have?
So we have another question from Waldes. DataWeave is hard to support and maintain, even more than Java code. What are the alternatives in the future to move more to low code, no code solution?
Well, I don't know. Personally, I can tell you, I don't know I don't know there's any sense that the roadmap says, okay, eventually we're replacing DataWeave. DataWeave is a bespoke language. It's built for a certain purpose. So what I propose is writing good DataWeave in the first place. DataWeave does have that characteristic like Perl had, that it gives you an enormous amount of freedom of expression in your code, which means that if 4 of us work on a project, we're going to get 6 different ways to get it done between us, right? And DataWeave has a lot of that same freedom, but it means then that it's possible to write terrible DataWeave code. When DataWeave code's written well, it's not hard to maintain. It's actually beautiful. It's a beautiful thing when you write good DataWeave, because you begin to have functions that they're legacy. You're not going to never ever need to write that function again eventually. So, and the thing that you see that sort of speaks to the low code, no code world is Composer, right? The idea that we can elevate some of our transformations so that they can be used casually by our citizen integrators. But somebody got to write some DataWeave somewhere, and if we do a good job of writing it, then it also could be maintained.
Yeah, good point on the MuleSoft Composer. I think it's meant more for the citizen integrators, right? I think that could be one of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Manik, do you have another question?
No, I think that's all I had.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone who's on the call?
I have something to put into chat to give you. And yeah, question, go ahead. Meanwhile,
No, I was just gonna say Thomas said he did not notice any codes. Where were they? I guess the codes were all in the presentations and slides. Like,
I think, Vincent, they're talking about the winners
the
codes that
winner
you had
codes,
on the
winner
select
codes you had.
slides.
Oh, well, what about those codes?
No, I think Thomas did not notice it anywhere. So he was just wondering where were they.
Oh, so the way those codes were is that when you look at the question, it told you how to answer the question. Some of the description just had a little code at the end. It said winner code or something. So just to see, hey, who's paying attention, and then like that. I want to give you guys the link to this this GitHub repo that you'll use to get the CLI version of DataWeave, and I hope you find that helpful, because I found it delightful, and I wish I had more time just to play with it and invent things to show it off. So definitely will.
Hey, Vincent, there was another comment made about a 1,000-line limitation. Are you aware of any limitations that exist?
1,000 lines. What is that limitation in? Is it a playground or lines of code?
It's in the playground. Yeah, it is funny. It's in the playground.
Well, so here's the thing about DataWeave. If I'm going to write a transformation that's 1,000 lines long, I'm going to ask myself, okay, is there a better way to do this? One thing you can do even in the playground is you can create multiple script sources, right? You know that part on the bottom, it says Script Explorer. So you always want to be breaking things down when you're writing DataWeave. Build smaller units, smaller units, easier to test, easier to maintain. And so keep looking for, what do I extract out of this? Or why do I have 1,000 lines in this transformation? The two worst things I see in the field when I encounter DataWeave in the wild, it's one I call the endless graveyard of concatenations. Like, the concatenate function is the first thing anybody ever learns about DataWeave. And some people, that's all they do, just concatenate this to this to this. The other one is what I call the endless spiral of if-else, right? If you see more than 3 if-elses in a row, you should be looking at the match function, because that's what it's designed for, is to build a case statement. So when we see gigantic patches of DataWeave, yeah, that's unwieldy. So let's pare it down. Let's distill it down. Although there's a point at which it becomes just compulsive, right? Like I wish I had an example to pop in front of you, but you guys know, I'll put this in chat. You guys probably know there's a filter you can use if you take some data, let's say a payload with an array inside. You can do something like this, and you can say payload. You'll see this when I get it out.
Vincent, if you are planning to share, your screen is not shared anymore.
So I'm going to put it on the chat stream.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of saying payload and then using the filter function and give your Lambda to do the filter expression, you could do something like I put in the chat stream. And then you might say, wow, that's really elegant and tiny. And you might also say, who will understand that in 6 months when they try to fix this, right? So use your judgment about that. But yeah, the compulsion among DataWeave programmers is to make tinier and tinier code. So yeah. Oh, the you know what I miss, Tony? I miss the conditional operator. We used it in Mel, I think, in Mule 3, and I still like it, even though it's not here anymore. We different ways to do it, but there's also an elegance about that. So you know what? I love this question from Thomas. The question is, what's the best way to document your apps? And I want you to know something. There's something beautiful in here that you can do. If I take a logger, you have so many wonderful ways to document your apps. You know what? I'm not sharing my screen, so I don't imagine this is helping anybody yet. 1 second. Apologize. Now look here. Sure, good. Look here. If I bring a logger over here, I have several ways to document my app as I go, and some of them are just organic. First of all, always use a display name to help you, right? Because it's not going to get rid of the appellation that tells you what this thing is for, but you can enhance that so that we can tell from the canvas level what's going on. Second, every element except the transform message has this section called notes. I use this to trigger a hot deploy. Like I just made a change and I want to make sure I redeploy. I don't want to change anything significant about my app. So I'll just put in a note, right? And when this is in effect, the side effect of this is that I can expose information about what this does internally without someone having to drill into the property sheet. They just mouse over it. And then this information I've put there also then plays into the pile of pages that will come out when I do this, when I say export my studio documentation. This creates a set of HTML documents that allows you to navigate through your design pretty much the same way you do in Studio. Web page, and you're just looking at the details. You can't interact with it, right? So those are 3 layers. Use your display names, use the notes section. And by the way, look at this. The notes section here is actually simply an attribute here that's called doc description. So if you wanted to have one in your transformer, just go to the transformer and put a doc description in there. Steal it from the logger, and you can get a pop-up over your transformer as well. By the way, do that always if you are using this to create a whole set of variables. Tell somebody that. Don't hide it down into one element. And lastly, this, when it comes to the DataWeave itself, your DataWeave has, I don't think I have a great example here. Your DataWeave allows both the C style enclosure comment as well as the end of line comment. So use those in your DataWeave. By all means, it doesn't cost you anything. All those characters came free with your keyboard. So thanks for asking that. It's a closely held secret.
Great. I don't see any more questions. One more time.
Sure.
Okay, we have time for one question if anybody wants to take a stab at it. Okay, still no questions. Going in 1, 2, 3. Okay, I see. Okay, so we'll take one question, Vincent. What's the best way to unit test DataWeave modules? Maybe you can give a short answer. Yep.
Well, I tell you, when I create a DataWeave module, I have to create it in the context of a transformation first, because I want to see it as it goes and test it while I'm testing it, right? once I migrate it into the module, so it becomes a library function, the transformer that I used to build it still acts as a perfect test unit. So I tell you what, I can show you one example like that very quickly, because we still have the benefit of last week's DataWeave class. And here in the safe read function, what we did is we built the function out. We're just testing it here in this transformation. Then once it was complete, we simply fully commented out so it's not present here, and we import it from the module. So once it's in the module, your only good way to test these is from outside of this, because you don't really get any preview or feedback from the module itself. So inevitably, you have to have built it somewhere and just build that as your test unit. That's how I do it anyway.
Yeah, Will just made a comment that he uses Munits to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Test data.
Spy and Munit, yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right. The trick is you just have to encapsulate the DataWeave with something that MUnit can execute for you. Right? Hey, thanks, Nicole.
Great. So I think we're on time. I just wanted to take a minute. Vincent and Nicole, thanks a lot for joining us today for this special meetup. With all your training schedule, Vincent, I know it has been months in the making. Really appreciate and thank you everyone who joined the meetup today and provided all the good feedback. Really helpful for our training team and our product teams to think in the right direction and see what we want in terms of our MuleSoft community and the demand. Again, thank you everyone. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll post the recording shortly after this meetup. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Nicole. Thanks, Vincent. Bye.